All right. Welcome to Unfiltered. This is a side note. If you are enjoying these unfiltered videos, if they are making an impact on your life, then please tell a friend, share these videos with other people, press the like button, and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out tremendously. And for that, I want to say thank you. So, when I was 17 years old, I got my first felony, possession of cocaine. And within a few months after that, I was already in prison for the first time. Now, my first time in prison, I only had to do a few months. It's what they call shock probation. It's an introduction to prison before they put you on probation. So it gives you a taste of what it would be like if you mess up again and don't fulfill the requirements of probation. And so they sent me there. So I'm under 20 years old and I'm already in prison. And when I was in there, I came in there and I was scared and I was nervous. And it was total chaos all around me at all times. I started off waiting to be sent to prison. I started in jail, and it was chaos too. It's loud, it's noisy. The people around you are annoying. There's arguments, there's tension. And the thing about life in prison and incarcerated is you never get a break. You don't get to go in your room and close the door and get away from people. You're around people all the time. They are right next to you, to the left and to the right. You eat with them. You wake up with them. The chaos is constant and it's loud. And I want to say this. This is where I learned how to pray. Now, I had heard about and even known God a little bit prior to this. He was something I was raised to believe in. He was something I was familiar with. And I knew kind of what prayer was. But when I was in prison, I found that the only solution that actually worked for the anxiety that I was feeling was prayer. Prayer is the perfect anti-anxiety medication. So with all the crazy chaos going on around me, what I started making myself do is I would get in bed and I would cross my legs and I would close my eyes and I would pray and I would meditate. Now, those of you who know me, you know that I don't sit still very well. I am constantly moving all day long. Even when I'm sitting down, I'm bouncing my legs. And I've been this way ever since I was born. I am extremely hyper and I have a lot of energy. And so sitting still and being quiet was something very difficult for me to do. But I was so overwhelmed by the situation that I was in. I was so bombarded constantly and overwhelmed with this loud noise and chaos. It was never ending. It was nonstop. It was all the time. And it was completely out of my control. Maybe you're struggling right now in life with so many things that are out of your control. That's what the serenity prayer says. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the peace to accept that there are certain things I cannot change. The courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. But the beginning of that says, God, grant me the serenity. Give me peace to accept the things I cannot change. I am in prison. It's total chaos all day long. I'm in danger. There's violent things occurring all around me. You don't know who to trust. Everyone in there is new to me. I was afraid and I was alone. It was the first time that I realized I'm in a facility with thousands and thousands of men, and not one single person in that facility loves me or cares about me. And I felt all alone. So I would get in my bed and I would cross my legs and I would force myself to begin to pray. And what started off very difficult over time became something that was very easy. You know, every time I would get in bed and pray, if a noise happened or something happened to the left or right of me, it would distract me from my prayer. It would distract me from the meditation. And you have to understand that in prison, the noise is nonstop and it's loud all day long and all night long. You never get a break. And so God, He was introducing Himself to me and He was teaching me how to pray in the midst of the chaos. David said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? Because you are with me. God was teaching me in those jail cells and on those prison units. I am with you. And even though you're surrounded by crazy chaos, and even though you are going through the valley of the shadow of death, and all hell is breaking loose, and you, in your mind, you think that you are in danger around every corner, I'm going to put a bubble around you, and I'm going to protect you, and I'm going to teach you how to pray so that you can learn to have peace in the midst of everything that you're going through. See, prayer It helps you to stay mentally connected to God. You are always connected to God because His Spirit lives inside of you. You are never alone. But prayer is a way that you can constantly remind yourself that you are mentally connected with God. You know, in this world, it's so crazy and it's so chaotic. And, you know, once you pay a bill, it's due again. And what are you going to do about your car maintenance? And what are you going to do about this promotion? Or what are you going to do? This job's coming to an end. And what about this relationship that you're in? And how am I going to do this? And how am I going to do that? And what about the sickness and illnesses that my family members are suffering? It's just, what am I going to do? How am I going to make it through this? That's how I felt in prison. All alone and very, very much afraid. Overwhelmed. Beaten down and broken. And in this state, I called out to God. And He began to develop a prayer life and put it into my life. He began to put prayer as part of a routine. And see, in this world, there's so much stuff going on, and your thoughts, they're just so crazy all day long, and it's like a hamster wheel, never ending, and you're just boom, 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 bombarded with stress and anxiety. That's why so many people in our world today have anxiety. And they run to the doctor to get a pill. But anxiety medication will never cure you of anxiety. It will just stop the anxiety attacks. Anxiety is cured by the way you think. You have to reprogram the way you think. And that's what prayer does. Prayer reminds me that I am not alone. It reminds me that in the midst of all this chaos, God is still God and He still protects me. I am still His child. I'm surrounded by His protection. He loves me. And no matter what I'm going through, He is with me every step of the way. And over time, it took time. This was not an instant fix. But over time, I could sit in that prison bed with my legs crossed. And I could pray for hours and be totally oblivious to everything else going on around me. I was able to center in, to tap into God. My mind was focused only on Him. And I started to feel peace in the midst of the storm. All of the other noises, boom, boom, bang, bang, all around me, they all began to be quiet, even though they were still going on. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. See, God was teaching me, look, prayer is your mental connection to me. And if you just get up every day and just start running after everything that you have to do, you will find yourself constantly filled with stress and anxiety. And you will go to sleep stressful, and you will wake up with anxiety, and you will be tense all day long. How do you unwind? How do you relax? How do you breathe and be okay? And my solution that worked for me is prayer, the perfect anti-anxiety medication. You know, believing in God is so beneficial for me, because if I am in this world alone, and there is no God, and everything I'm going through falls on my shoulders, I would have never made it. Of course you would be overwhelmed with stress because you know how weak you are. You see all of your flaws and imperfections. And so if everything is dependent on you, there's no peace that comes from that. But my peace comes from knowing that He takes care of me. And I am reminded that He takes care of me through my prayer life. I pray and I cast my cares upon Him, as the Bible says, because He cares for me. I cast my cares upon Him because He cares for me. I'm not just throwing them out like a penny in a wishing well, and maybe it'll work, maybe not. I am giving Him this because He has promised to take care of me. He told me to cast my cares upon Him. So when I am overwhelmed, it's because I haven't given it to Him. And once I've given it to Him through prayer, I am reminded that He will make a way out of no way. He will close doors that no man can open. And He will open doors that no man can close. And when it looks like all is lost, that's okay. Because it says in the Bible that against all hope, Abraham in hope believed, and so became the father of faith. The father of faith. He said, I know I'm older and my body, I know I'm too old to have a baby, but I'm going to believe anyway that God's going to give me a baby. And against all hope, when everything seemed lost, he believed and became the father of faith. He was the first one that had this outrageous faith against all odds. And it is an amazing story. And the story of your life is also an amazing story. I look back and I think that God was introducing Himself back in those prison cells. He was also teaching me how to pray. He was teaching me how to get to know Him. And I talked in a couple of other videos about, some people, they believe in God. They had the faith that He exists. But they don't believe he's going to do it for them. When you pray, you start to develop an intimate relationship with your Father. You are his child. He is your Father. Like a little girl or a little boy sitting on the lap of their dad. That's what prayer is. And I'm soaking in his sunlight. I'm soaking in his wisdom and his love. I'm enveloped in his feathers. They cover around me. I am protected. And he reminds me, I am with you. And it unplugs my mind and my thoughts from all the chaos that life is. And it plugs it into him. And it lets me know I'm not alone. And it gives me peace in the midst of the storm. It gives me the strength I need to continue. Prayer is the perfect anti-anxiety medication. If you currently are overwhelmed, you need to start praying and meditating, because God will start teaching you things. He will start opening up your mind through your thoughts and show you things that you don't even know yet. And once he shows it to you, it'll make life easier. But if you try to find solution in the midst of all the chaos, try to calm everything down and try to make everyone do what you want them to do, you will never find peace that way. You ever been around people that are control freaks? They want to control every little thing because they think if they can control everything that they'll have peace. But you cannot control everything in life. And so to pretend that you can, or to make it a goal to try to do that, you will just be frustrated, and that will be a fruitless adventure, a fruitless journey, a fruitless waste of your time. If you go around thinking you can control everything, and if you accomplish that, you will finally have peace, you will find out that is fantasy, and that is not real. But you can tap into God, and he can give you peace in the midst of the storm. Maybe you're going through chaos right now. Maybe your marriage is falling apart. Your business is falling apart. You're starting over. Maybe you're having to live at the mission because you've been homeless. Maybe you're having to live at a sober living home. Maybe you're having to move to a new city. Maybe you're on parole and you're in trouble and you may be sent back to prison. Maybe you're some trouble at your work and you may get fired. Maybe you are suffering the consequences of foolish choices you've made. Maybe you are feeling overwhelmed and all of the chaos around you, it's never ending and nonstop. Take the time every day to pray and meditate. Calm your thoughts down. Breathe in, breathe out. These are very important tools in order to make it. It causes your thoughts to go numb and you start believing and speaking and seeing and knowing the truth. The truth is that even in prison, he was protecting me. Even when I was out on the streets, he was protecting me. Even when I wasn't listening and I didn't know him, he was still protecting me because he knew one day in the future I would call on his name and I would become a part of his family. He was treating me as a child my whole life, and he loved me. And I look back on all my experiences and I think of this journey, and I have learned so much, and I have grown to know him in such an intimate and amazing way. He is my Father. I am his son. I am not alone. And this is where the statement that I say all the time comes. I am not afraid because I am not alone. And I think back of all the years I did in prison and in jail and on the streets and all the dangerous situations that I was in all the time, and yet no harm came to me. It happened to my left, it happened to my right, but it did not happen to me. God protected me. And here I am today. Visual hope, walking around, walking and telling everyone who will listen, Jesus is real. God is my Father. He takes care of me. Prayer is the perfect anti-anxiety medication. It is me depending on him. It is me speaking words of faith. It is me praying for other people, getting my thoughts off of myself. It is me speaking, God, you are with me. Thank you. It's my opportunity to show gratitude for all that he's done in my life. It reprograms the way that I think. It causes me to look at things from a different perspective. You know, instead of being overwhelmed by all that I'm going through, I'm going to be encouraged because God is on my side. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not be afraid. I will not be anxious at what all that surrounds me. I'm not going to be intimidated because he is with me. Unplug today. Plug into God. Spend some time alone. If you're always on your phone all day long, you're constantly just looking at videos, and you're going to work and you never turn the TV off, and you never get off the internet, and you're just constantly on social media, and you're constantly in arguments with people and talking about this, talking about that. Your mind is nonstop, and you are not giving yourself the opportunity to have peace. But when you stop, slow everything down, and you pray and you meditate and you commune with God, this level of intimacy in your relationship with God will grow and grow. And along with that, your faith will grow and your peace of mind will grow. I knew for many years, I didn't even know what peace of mind was. That's like elves and dragons, fantasy. What is peace of mind? When God taught me how to pray in prison, it started to develop peace of mind. When God taught me how to pray in prison, that routine started to develop peace of mind. It started to develop strength that I had never had. It started to teach me what faith was and how to have it. And all of that came where? In my mind. See, that is me connecting with God mentally. It's not connecting with my problems, not connecting with the chaos, not being overwhelmed by everything I'm going through. It is my mental connection to God to say, you know what? I trust you. You have brought me this far, and you will continue protecting me the rest of the way. What you have started in my life, you will complete. I am not alone. I don't see how everything is going to work out, but I see you, and I plug in through prayer, and I speak these words of faith, and the anxiety that I once had, it disappears. And now I'm filled with hope and with joy. Sometimes I let too many days pass and I haven't spent enough time in prayer, and I can feel it. I can feel the tension rising up. I can feel my stress level rising up, that I'm starting to feel anxious, that I'm trying to take on too much and figure out stuff, and I got to unplug and slow down and calm down and plug in through prayer, because prayer is what keeps me mentally connected with God. It keeps me focused so that I'm not distracted by all the nonsense. God doesn't want you wasting your time being afraid of things. He wants you enjoying life. And if you are faced with opposition or things that might be a threat to you, just know that God is bigger and stronger than anything you face, and He will protect you. So way back then, God taught me how to pray. It developed it developed my relationship with Him. It created intimacy. He began to reveal things to me about Himself. He began to teach me about myself. He began to show me what life was about and how to not be afraid, how to speak words of faith. He began to build me up. And it didn't happen in an instant, guys. It took years. But start this journey so that you can grow stronger. If you are overwhelmed with the chaos that you are surrounded by in life right now, stop and pray. And even if it feels uncomfortable, like I said at first, every time I would sit there in bed, anytime something would happen to the left or the right, I would get distracted, but I kept making myself do it. I started being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I made myself do it until I broke, until I started to create a habit, until I understood how to do it, and then it started to become easy. It didn't feel right at first, but now it's something I depend on all the time. Just like working out or any other new habit that you may have. It doesn't feel right at first, but you got to break through that so you can develop a habit. You got to break through the uncomfortable feeling. And you don't just get frustrated and say, never mind, I can't do it. Because that's how a lot of people are. They start something, and as soon as it doesn't go the way they wanted it to go, they're like, forget it. So you got to calm yourself down. Don't throw everything away just because it doesn't come easy. Use discipline. Push through the pain. Fight to get where you need to get. Do not quit, and make yourself pray and meditate. I promise you it will give you peace. I promise you that your level of anxiety will start to calm down. Your level of stress will start to decrease, and His peace will start to increase. You will start seeing things differently, and you will start to have a lot stronger relationship with your Father. Prayer, the perfect anti-anxiety medication. Have a wonderful day.